Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Hello and welcome to Countryside here on Manx Radio. I'm Simon Clark.
And I'm Kirree. At the weekend, I popped up north to catch up with a young farmer that's doing something a bit different on his farm.
I speak to market gardener and farmer Stuart Allanson to find out how things were going in the market gardening side with how the weather has been affecting crop digging and planting, and also his son James, who's over at the moment from university. Well, I went along to St Germans Cathedral in Peel to see not only the moon, to have a chat with the Dean there, Nigel Godfrey. Firstly, Kirree, welcome to the next series of Countryside here on Manx Radio. It's a tough old time with the weather, as we'll be hearing in a little while from farmer Stuart Allanson, but it's tricky as well because it's lambing time for a lot of people on the farms.
Yeah, especially up north, there's a lot of lambs running about now. It's been such a cold spell, right the way from sort of Christmas onwards. It's been very, very poor around the countryside. It lost all its colour. And it's a good job that we did make plenty of fodder last summer, really. Albeit that a very wet year, we still managed to harvest enough because it's been needed this time of year. Lots of people feeding sheep where they don't always feed their sheep. It is really, really tricky. But this wet weather this past weekend and the storms, it's been hard work.
Yeah, it is hard work, as we'll be hearing. Well, one of the first people I spoke to was market gardener and farmer from Rendu Farm in Kirree, Stuart Allanson. We'll be hearing from his son, James, very shortly indeed as well, who's over on a break from university where he's studying farming as well. But firstly, I put it to Stuart how difficult it had been for him and his staff at this time of year, particularly with the weather.
It's not the greatest weather. I think we've had a lot better spring this year than we did last year, Simon. Last year, I tell people it started raining in December and finished in April. Well, we've had a few good spells dry since Christmas, so we've been able to get a few bits and bobs done in the fields.
Yeah, is it really the rain and the state of the ground that's the most thing that affects your production?
It certainly affects us in getting the crops in the ground. To start, getting the crops drilled, getting them planted in the ground, we want good ground conditions for that. But at this stage, it's more about getting some of the field work done, so subsoiling, preparing to get on with other work.
Because when you look from the outside, we're thinking to yourself, wow, how are you getting in there with your machinery to pick them? But that's not the big issue at this time of year then.
Well, we have got an issue with the wet. We have had a couple of days really wet this week, and we did struggle on the carrots. We had to put extra tractors in the field to tow the harvester up the field. But it's just one of those things you have to live with. This year, though, has been a lot better than last year.
With the carrots, obviously you're trying to keep the produce as fresh as you can. Is there a difference, like if you're picking potato, with the potatoes, you can store them a lot longer than you would with carrots, just for the layman's, really?
Yeah, the carrots will store for a while, but certainly, as you say, the potatoes go into store in October, and we keep them in store right through to June, July, whereas the carrots, we're harvesting perhaps 3 times a week, to keep them fresh for the customers.
And what else produce are you picking up off the ground at the moment, or looking for in some of the puddles?
Not quite that bad. Parsnips, beetroot, swede, cabbage, different sorts of cabbage, so red cabbage, green cabbage, Savoy cabbage.
And are they in this day and age picked by hand, or can you adapt your machinery for picking them all?
The cabbage are all picked by hand, the swedes are all picked by hand, the beetroots, parsnips and carrots with machines. They harvest them, and we've got staff who work on the machines, even in this weather, Simon.
But it's one of them jobs, I suppose. A lot of you have moved on to be able to use machinery, but just some things just aren't practical to use it now.
It's the scale of economy that we're on, Simon. In the UK, they'll have harvesting rigs where they're picking the cabbage literally onto a conveyor belt straight in front of you. We're not at that stage, and there is mechanisation above that as well, but I don't see we'd ever get to that in the Isle of Man with the volume of sales we've got here.
But talking about sales, I'm just looking around your packing sheds here. You've got plenty sort of ready for for the customers or wholesalers here. So are things going okay on that front, since the changes on the Isle of Man?
Yeah, things are going fine, Simon. It's we've had a bedding in process where we've got to get products into Tesco that's taken over the ShopRite stores, and it's not always easy fitting in with the Tesco system, but we are making good progress in that. We've a reasonable range of products going in, and this coming year we hope to get a few more products range-wise in there. Volumes of sales have actually been quite good. So, yeah, okay.
What's been the main changes that you've had to adapt from the supermarket changes in the island?
I suppose for Tesco, everything has to be, wrapped in barcodes. So the loose products are the ones that we're struggling with in Tesco. But, we've got a good range of pre-packed products in there. Robinsons, they're still selling at their wholesale department for us. Their sales were very good. They've held up very well.
Right. But still, obviously, transport costs have gone up, fuel costs over the times, and that's one of the drawbacks, I suppose, of having to supply. Is it delivery side of it?
Yeah, we're delivering fresh to Tesco 6 days a week round all 10 stores. So yes, there's quite a bit of cost on fuel and time in doing that.
And that's where I suppose the people don't realise this, the customers, and think, oh, why am I paying £1 for cabbage or what have you? But there's a lot of picking them. Labour costs, I suppose, is one of the big things still in any industry like this.
It is, yeah. Labour costs are continually going up. The minimum wage is going up, and as a result, unfortunately, food will go up as part of that.
What about if the weather continues like this, the Isle of Man? Any thoughts on trying different products, turning into a paddy field or anything like that, Stuart? No? Not practical?
I can't say it's turning into a paddy field, Simon. I think we'll always be looking at improving the varieties. I think climate change is a reality. We are going to get, I think, hotter, drier summers. The winters, I don't know about wetter, but I think wetter periods within the winter. So the extremes, we're getting more of the extremes, but I think the overall balance of the weather's not going to be any more inches of rain or any more hours of sunshine. It's just they're coming in a bit longer spells, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. But what about changes in product? Obviously, bakers, restaurants, they'll prefer a certain type of potato for roasting, a certain type for mash and things like that. I mean, do you try and stick with the ones that are really popular, or do you get news from other places or UK or Europe where we've tried a new new variety and these are the in thing? You always keeping an eye on things like that?
Yeah, we're always keeping an eye on things, Simon. We do have different varieties of potatoes that are more suitable for some purposes than others. So we do one called Sajita that is fantastic for chips, for roasting, whereas general boiling, we might be using Nadine, Ola, something like that, a bit different. Or if you want a red potato, the red potatoes, Caledonian Rose is the variety that we grow, and they're fantastic for boiling. But we've got to pick varieties that are suitable for our climate here for us to grow. It's not just about the taste, so it's getting everything balanced.
So all in all, despite the difficult times, weather-wise and the market, you're looking reasonably happy with it all.
I think so, Simon. Yeah, it's hard work. It's been a very, very challenging year with the changes, but it's going okay.
Well, let's get a chat with young James then. I suppose not so young now. Is it fourth year at university or college, as they call it now?
Yeah, that's right. Fourth year of Harper Adams University in Shropshire, studying agriculture with crop management.
Right, so it's fairly close to home. Wasn't it an advantage coming from the side of it with your dad's business going over there, or was it a disadvantage?
An advantage in many ways. I've gained a lot of experience before heading over to university, and I think that's put me in a very good stead for doing my course.
How does it work then? Obviously, the side of it that you used to hear is basically all practical and learning from what you're hearing from your dad and people like that. I mean, going over to there, do you get a chance to get out on the farms much when you first start, or is it a lot of theory?
It's all theory at university. Before you start there, you've got to have practical experience so that when you get there, you're able to understand the theory behind it and put it into place when you finish university.
Right. But you've been doing practical work on a farm at the moment, though, have you?
Yes, as part of the course, we've got to take a sandwich year. So I went to a potato and onion farm near Peterborough and worked there for a year. Very different from the island. The scale of agriculture is just through the roof. Field sizes here, your average is about 5 acres. Over there, you'd be about 25 acre average size where I was. And there's just no comparison.
Right. And where are they finding the markets for them here? I mean, is it a little bit cutthroat, or are people left in their areas to supply their sort of areas and reasonably get along?
In the UK, there's more markets to deal with. Here, everyone has their own little market. They deal with their own customers. Over there, you've got so many different customers you can deal with. You don't struggle as much to sell your stock. It's just the fluctuation of pricing over there. With the war in Ukraine and fertiliser prices, it can be a bit volatile.
When you look, say, about the scale, if you're talking about Rendu here, Allansons at Rendu, how many acres of potatoes or spuds would you grow here compared to your farm in Peterborough?
Here we're about 30 to 40 acres. In England we were doing well over 100. The scale of that is just a lot more efficient over there. You've got dedicated machinery that's a lot bigger to cover the acreage a lot faster.
You mentioned fertilisers and things, and that's one thing I think that's particularly getting into your remit here, is it?
Yeah, fertiliser's very important wherever you go. There's a growing importance of environmental considerations. We've just got to take account of that and ensure that we're following best practices at all time to take care of this beautiful island that we live on.
It's a case of people a few years ago when the organic thing got big, but it still doesn't seem practical for everywhere to be in or down that route at the moment, does it?
No. On the island, the organic market's about 5%, and for us to jump into that, there just wouldn't be the volume of sales that we would need to operate as we currently are.
How long have you got left at university and on your practical sides of things?
I'm hoping to be done by June and then come back and join the farm and take a bit of pressure off Dad.
He's smiling here, so I think you made his day saying something like that.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Well, good luck with your final exams, and obviously when you come back to the island, we'll talk to you again in the future.
Okay, thank you, Simon.
There you are, James Allanson, and also before that, Stuart Allanson from Rendu Farm, market gardeners and farmers there, telling us about the difficulties of this time of year, but soldiering on and things going right, being able to get rid of quite a bit of their produce and keep the suppliers happy, which is good news, Kirree.
It's great that he's battled on and keeping the local produce coming to the fore.
But of course, Stuart and the workers, they've been with him a long time, and I suppose with the experience he's got, there's ups and downs, and he'll be well aware of that. But of course, the younger generation are in there as well, Kirree.
It is, it's great to see. And talking of young farmers, I popped along to another young farmer in the north of the island that's trying to do something a little bit different. Thomas Cleator at Ballakeenan Farm. I went to see what he's up to. Well, Thomas Cleator, we've had some storms lately, but here it's nice and sheltered on the north of the island, and we've got some gorgeous lambs with us. A new venture for you, Tom?
Yeah, so we started doing lamb feeding sessions here. It was only a quick idea. We started to grow with the number of megs we were having and orphans, and kind of not from dead sheep, but more just sheep that were refusing to take them and that didn't have enough milk for them. So we started to grow, and we thought it might be an idea to let other people come and have a go at feeding them, and the takeoff and the reaction to it has been more than we could ever have anticipated. But it's been brilliant. Every session's been brilliant, and people seem to be loving it.
And that's what it is. It's getting close to reality. It's getting out in the countryside, the educational side of what we do here on the island as sheep farmers. What has the uptake been like for people that have never experienced being near a sheep in their life?
Oh, the uptake's been amazing. We've had people here from pretty much all walks of life that, some people have worked in offices all their lives that they've never even touched a lamb. Kids that have never got this close to lambs, and they've had the opportunity to come out here and get close, touch them, feel them.
I bet some of the comments have been unbelievable, what you've been hearing.
Oh, it's lovely. It's the reaction and people, what they say when they've been here is amazing. When you see them posts on Facebook and on TikTok and Instagram and all, it's amazing. It is amazing when you get to see it all, and you feel like you're contributing to something, and people are enjoying it is the main thing. And yeah.
And you've been a young farmer all of your life, Thomas. How did you get involved?
I started farming when I was back in school, really. We started with me and my brother with some hand-reared calves. Was the first animals we had for ourselves, and then after some family issues with cattle, I moved away from cattle and moved into sheep more. We grown the flock, grown the farm, and kept going.
Because you are a commercial farm at the end of the day. This is a side hustle, really, isn't it?
Yeah, so the main farm is the 160 sheep out in the field. This is very much a side venture. The thing is, it was literally an idea over a cup of coffee. This whole thing that's blown up into something absolutely crazy.
The lambs that you've got in the shed here today, Thomas, now these are a traditional British breed, the Dorset. It's a breed that we don't see too many of around the island anymore.
No, and I don't think the shearers want to see them anymore, to be honest, either. I don't think many shearers like coming out to me when they realise that there's Dorsets about. But they are a traditional breed. They're a brilliant breed to have. They're easy lambing, fast growing, good mothers. Traditionally good mothers anyway. The amount of eggs we've had this year, you'd kind of argue for other cases.
But they are prolific breeders though, aren't they? They will lamb a couple of times a year rather than just a single normal sheep would lamb.
Yeah, so the Dorset can lamb any time of the year, really. One of the few breeds that can actually manage that. You've got to have a really, really good quality intensive system to be able to do that. They can lamb 3 times in 2 years. But you've got to have the right facilities, the right kind of...
And do you do that, or is it...
No, so we're quite affected by the flies here. So we predominantly lamb quite early, so we start November or January. We start our lambings purely to avoid the heat, because of the land that we're on out Derby here is very sandy, and the blowflies seem to like to burrow into the sand and then pop out at any time as soon as it warms up enough.
I see.
And then we get the fly strike in the sheep that can be absolutely awful kind of thing out here.
And you've got another pen beside the Dorsets here, Tom. We've got some Suffolk-looking lambs. They're a bit bigger. Do the children always want to, aim for the little lambs? So they're rather little, cute, they've got bright pink noses, these lambs. They're absolutely lovely. We'll have to put a photo on Facebook for our listeners to have a look at. But again, another traditional breed, the Suffolk. They look a different type altogether.
Yeah, so they're a very different type of sheep and a type of lamb that we've got here. We use them mainly as the early lambers. They're quite a good maintaining sheep to keep growing and just finish off a nice bit of grass. And very much a traditional Suffolk as well, off the UK Suffolk over a New Zealand Suffolk.
Oh, I see, yeah.
So we've kept these guys going. They're doing quite well. The kids seem to split their attention very much. I think they feel like they need to give love to every lamb that's in here. So the kids have very much been giving the little ones a cuddle, but then also the big ones that love to come to the gate to say hello.
Characters, aren't they? These
Yeah.
ones?
So they love to come and say hello, and we've got 2 here that we always ask people if they want a challenge. If they're booked in for the bigger fellas, we always ask them if they want a challenge. We've got 2 lambs here called Minstrel and Malteser that were named early on, and they come off their mother because they decided to only suckle one side of her.
Oh, see.
So the other side got infected and got mastitis, so we had to take them away to give her a chance to recover, and she's still recovering now. But because they come off their mother, their natural instinct is to headbutt to get more milk to come out. But they've not sussed, even after 4 or 5 weeks being on a bottle, the headbutt on the bottle doesn't get them any more milk. All it does is put milk all over their face and all over whoever is feeding them. So the kids seem to love it. I mean, they come out and they ask for a challenge, and we give them that challenge, and everyone is laughing. The parents laugh, and the grandparents are laughing. Everyone is laughing their heads off, and they all love it, is the thing, and that's what we want.
This is it. And going back to loving it and feeling good, animal therapy is a thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, a lot of people have been here and said, like, oh, you know, it'd be great to do something where it's a de-stressing thing to come here and sit with the lambs. I mean, maybe not sit in the pens, because I've tried that and you don't half get battered because you haven't got a bottle. But I mean, to sit and cuddle with them. I mean, our evening sessions here for 8 and 9 o'clock at night have gone crazy, and every single person, you feel hard of taking a lamb off them once they've started to cuddle them, and they fall asleep because they've just had their bottle. They're quite content, and they fall asleep, and then the heartbreak comes when you've got to take them back and put them back in the pen. But yeah, they love it, and I think a lot of people have said it's a good de-stress and a good chill, just reset before, you know, you go back to work the next day or the next week.
And like you say, Tom, 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, that's quite a late session. You know, you work around the clock with the sessions for the people.
Yeah, so we kind of do it throughout the days. During the week, we try and make it a little bit more limited, because this is me running it on my own, and I've got a lot of other work still to do. We're still lambing, coming to the end of lambing, but we're still lambing at the minute. So I've got a lot of work still to do in the sheds. So we've got to kind of get the right balance. So the evenings are through the week, and then the weekends we do throughout the day. And the pick-up on the whole thing has been incredible. And even the night feeds. I mean, the night feeds are the first thing we sell out on when we release them for the weekends.
And I also seen with your night feeds, Thomas, you've got the opportunity to do stargazing. Now here in Kirree, there's absolutely no street lights, there's no pollution whatsoever. It must be incredible to see the stars from here.
Oh, it is. I would always say it's one of the best places on the island to see the stars is out Kirree. Is you get the clearest skies, and when you can just stand here, I mean, you hurt your neck a bit because you're standing looking up so long. But yeah, I mean, people love to see the stars. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of the sessions that have been here haven't had the opportunity to see the stars because it's been so cloudy.
The storms lately have been horrendous, haven't they?
Yeah, so a lot of them have been caught by that. But at the same time, people say, you know, the stargazing's a bonus to be here. The lambs are the main attraction. The stargazing is an added bonus if they can get it.
And the question is, Tom, these lambs, they'll stay with you for life?
Yeah, so a lot of these females we'll keep for breeding stock. All the males will have their manhoods removed, shall we say. And then they'll become what we call teasers. So they'll head out with the females. Once they're big enough, they'll head out with the females about 2 weeks before the actual real males go out, shall we say. And they'll synchronise all the sheep into quick lambing. And then when we put the actual males in, everyone catches quick. And you've got a nice, easy 2 weeks of lambing, hopefully, is the aim. And you can move on.
A very tired head at Christmas time for you then.
Yeah, a very tired head. I mean, I'm ready for a full night's sleep. I don't think I've had a full night's sleep this year yet. So I'm certainly ready for that once we've finished lambing and these guys are on a little less feeds.
Yeah. They look so content. They're just here. I know it's been stormy, but there's a little bit of blue sky and sunshine today, and they're just loving life, aren't they?
Oh yeah. So I mean, they absolutely adore it in here. I mean, it's the perfect shelter for them, really, out here. And they're just getting ready to move outside pretty much and start eating some grass, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. So what do you get from it, Tom? You know, you've set this little business up. You know, it's great to see the people come, and obviously the educational side of it must be really important.
Yeah, so like I've always been very keen to show the next generation the realities of farming and that you know, everything's cute, but they have a reason to be here, kind of thing. And it's really nice. Like, a lot of the parents that have been out with the kids have understood that at the end of the day, this is a working farm. That a lot of the lambs that we raise will go to slaughter and go to Tesco shelves or, you know, the shop shelves. So it's like, it's good that people have understood that before they've arrived. It's nice to reward them and say, like, none of these guys go to that place. But it's nice to educate and show people, and hopefully we can continue to do that and look into other events that we've been asked to do that would also help to educate people and show people more jobs and kind of normalities for a lot of farmers that a lot of people don't seem to understand or don't realise, and they're willing to learn. That's the one thing we've learnt the most from this, is people are willing to learn about farming a lot more than I ever thought anyway.
Well, this is it. So Ballakeenan, it's an open farm now, Tom, so people can find you on social medias, etc.?
Yeah, so we're hopefully going to get a website set up soon, but you can find us at the minute on Ballakeenan Farm on Facebook, and we will be releasing hopefully more things to do. We're looking into at the minute junior farmer experiences. So for a family to come out and experience, you know, a routine job on the farm, like of going out doing the checks or worming some sheep and stuff like that, as long as we can get everything safety wise in place for that kind of thing. But yeah, it'll be a growing entity hopefully now that we've seen how popular it is.
Yeah, exciting year ahead for you guys then. And let's hope you can get some sleep sometime soon.
Yeah, sleep would be lovely right now.
But yeah, well done, Thomas, and good luck with it all.
Thank you very much.
There we go. That was Thomas Cleator from Ballakeenan Farm in Kirree.
You're listening to Countryside here on Manx Radio with Kirree Kermode and myself, Simon Clark. Well, over the past few weeks, there's been a fabulous exhibition of Luke Jerram's moon. Yeah, an inflatable moon, which is hanging from the roof of St German's Cathedral in Peel. I went along to have a look at the exhibition, and I spoke to the dean there, Nigel Godfrey. Well, Nigel, what a time it's been for you, the giant moon in the middle of Peel Cathedral. Did you ever think you'd see that there?
We'd hoped, yes, we'd certainly hoped to, and we hope to have a significant exhibition each year. So, yes, we managed to organise it.
And what about the scale of it when you see it up? I know when these things go through your thoughts thinking, oh, it'd be a great idea. When you see it up, was it surprising?
It was surprising in the sense that it was a challenge to get it up and in, because I think that when the equipment came into the cathedral, there was only inches or even centimetres spare.
Really?
To get it through the doors and so on, and then to lift it onto the roof, the ceiling.
Obviously, this is part of Luke Jerram's work,
Yes.
who's done a lot of this. He had the famous globe of the earth, of course, in the Douglas Church last year, St Thomas's last year. And has he come over himself to oversee it? Do you get the luxury of that?
No, but there are technicians who come over with it to help erect it.
And what about the public's perception of it? Obviously, you've had the half-term week.
Yes.
You had one or two visitors?
Yes, one or two. During the term time, we've had schools come here, class by class, and in the morning and the afternoon. In half term, I'm not sure, but perhaps the children were bringing their parents, but there's certainly been huge numbers, and 3 or 4 days ago we passed the 10,000 visitor mark.
Yeah.
So we're getting about 1,000 a day at the moment.
Pretty incredible, isn't it? And for a lot of people, I mean, I see the questionnaire and surveys that you've got written down there as well, and reading through it, there's quite a few people that have never been in St German's Cathedral before here in Peel, and it's a wonderful sight. It's opened people's eyes to what is here.
I think, yes, they can see it used in different ways. So, for example, in the last few days, we've had dance groups in, we've had a banquet, we've had a one-man show. We've had bands, all sorts, so different groups in each evening. But during the day, it's usually accessible for the public and for schools.
When you're coming in through the little gardens, there's little signs and telling you about the history of how the gardens and the trees were, as well as the cathedral. And a lot of people there at the special garden all stop and have a look around it, which is great for yourselves.
Yes, well, we've got over 18 different guides to the gardens, and there's one guide out now at the moment for a guide to the gardens and the moon. So, for example, the people may not know, but the labyrinth, which is quite a key feature in the cathedral gardens, is based on the labyrinth at Chartres Cathedral in Paris, just outside Paris, and it's really an abacus to calculate the date of Easter, which of course connects to the moon.
Right, so it's really coming up to Easter. It's a fabulous time to have the moon in here then, isn't it?
Yes, so many religious things have been governed by the moon, and different dates and so on of choosing Easter. Yes, all sorts of things.
And when is the moon available to view here?
It's available each day during this coming week. Some evenings there'll be private functions, so it won't be open for those, particularly if they're completely booked out, and most are. And it's with us until next Sunday night.
Right. Well, it's an incredible thing to have on display at St Germans Cathedral here. You must be very proud of all the staff and volunteers that have come in to help, to guide the public around with and such interesting bits of literature around to follow it, and displays of pictures and everything that's on the wall.
Well, the person who's been in charge of all this is Rosemary Clark rather than me. And she has recruited lots of new volunteers, and they have been absolutely tremendous. And we can't operate here without volunteers. Even on a normal week, we have 150 volunteers that help run the cathedral. So we're absolutely dependent on them.
But it's been such a popular thing, and just to... it's a place of worship. Like you said, it's a place where you've got all sorts of events happening on, but just on quiet times, just to see people reflecting and looking at the moon here with their own thoughts, it's quite fulfilling in a way.
Yes, yes, people can make of it what they want, and we've had people explore it spiritually. The Manx language, for example, I understand has two words for the moon, one meaning the satellite round the Earth, and the other meaning a more just the idea of the moon as opposed to the sun and so on, a much more kind of romantic version.
Well, you said the times where it's all on display here,
yes.
And people who may have been in the cathedral couple of years ago or so, things have changed a little bit since then, Nigel.
They have, and of course there are people who've never been in before, so they won't know the changes, but there's been a new floor put down, underfloor heating and reordering of the building generally. We're not quite finished yet. If you look over your shoulder, you could see a door that's not in place yet, but yes, the project to date has cost over 2 million.
Wow.
And there's another 1 million to go in different ways. But yes, we're on the way. And people, I would say almost 100%, there's always the 1%, are really pleased with the new environment.
Well, it really is a spectacular site, and it's without the moon, it's a spectacular piece of architecture in the cathedral, isn't it?
We hope we've enhanced its historic worth, really, because if it was in England, it would be a Grade 2 listed building, and not top of the scale or top of the range, but we hope that through the lighting and the flooring and all the other things we've done to the building that we've improved it.
Nigel Godfrey, the Dean of St Germans Cathedral in Peel, not just talking about the Luke Jerram exhibition off the moon there, Kirree, but tell us a little bit about the cathedral and what events they can have in there now and the work that's been done on it. Looks fabulous. It really is. If you haven't been in Peel Cathedral, it's well worth a look in.
It's so great that an old building like that there can be restored and just used for a variety of events and exhibitions like you've just been to. But the installation of the moon, it's been absolutely incredible, hasn't it?
Yeah, 10,000 people have been in to see it. Yeah,
that's amazing.
So it is amazing, isn't it? With the before the parents got a chance to go in and groups from from the schools, and then of course with the half term. The kids could go back there and show their parents and probably tell them a lot more about it than they know, isn't it? But listen, if you've got anything for Countryside, if you could drop us an email, countryside@manxradio.com. And if you want to listen to the programme again and maybe some of the interviews in a more fuller form, you can go to Manx Radio's website and download the podcast. Just subscribe. It's all free and you can listen at your leisure. We're back next Tuesday at 5:30. So until then, from me, Simon Clark.
And me, Kirree Kermode.
We'll see you then. Ta-da.
Bye-bye.